Okay, good morning everybody. Alright, so now we are moving on finally to the next sutta. Okay, so the next sutta that I'm going to do is questions of Metagu, which is 5.4. It is on page 20 and 21. It's a long sutta, but we have covered a lot of ground earlier, so we should be okay. I won't read the full sutta in one go. I will read section by section and let's see how we go. So here we go. I ask you, Blessed One, please tell me this, said Venerable Metagu, for I think you are a mature knowledge master. Where does this suffering come from in all its countless forms in the world? So you can see all of these Brahmins, they only have one thing in their mind, really, to end this suffering and cross the flood. Yeah? So you have rightly asked me the origin of suffering, replied the Buddha. I shall tell you as I understand it. Attachment is the source of suffering in all its countless forms in the world. So upadi nidhana. Do you agree? Have you had this realization yourself that your attachments bring suffering, or does your attachments bring you happiness? Suffering? Are you sure? Why are you attached then? Do you like to suffer? It looks like you like to suffer. I don't know whether you're happy to hear the next line then. When a fool builds up attachments, that the lad returns to suffering again and again. So let one who understands not build up attachments, contemplating it as the origin of suffering and rebirth. Right? So that's a really good point to stop and explain a little bit. Even though when I ask the question who says your attachments bring you suffering, you are also attached because it also brings you happiness, isn't it? The things that you're attached to, you are attached to them precisely because they bring happiness as well. So you think, and you are not alone. That's a very beautiful sutta. The sutta number is it's called Piyajataka Sutta. It's in Majjhima Nikaya 87. So I will just only briefly mention. It's nothing really unusual. There is this father who's lost his only son. He loves his son so very much, so attached to. Some connections are very strong, right? Sometimes parent-children connections are very, very strong. And when his only son died, so he was in the cemetery, like at the charnel ground, crying, beating his heart and holding on to the dead body, saying, where has my son gone? Please come back. And all these kinds of ways, he can't be separated. He's crying, lamenting in such a bad state. Then he goes to see the Buddha, and when the Buddha sees his, distorted faculties and he sees clearly that this guy is in a lot of pain, he asks what happened. So then the person says, I lost my only child, only son. And then the Buddha says, so it is householder, the people you love, let me say so it is householder, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair are born from those who are dear, arise from those who are dear. Do you agree? Usually we say pain, grief, those don't come from people we hate. But from people who we consider as dear, all the happiness, love, affection, all good things come, right? But so when the Buddha said that it is from the people who are dear that you get sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, despair, this father was not happy. He shook his head. He disagreed with the Buddha. He said, no, it is the people who are dear who brings all this happiness, enjoyment to us. He couldn't understand. Why? Because he's now under a lot of defilement, a defilement of sadness. His mind is not clear. He can't see what you could see. You were saying you could see both sides. You could see how we are attached to people and things as well, because they bring happiness to us. But when they depart, when they are no longer with us, when you lose them, then suffering is born immediately. We could see it at the right now, we are peaceful. But for him, he couldn't see it at the time because his mind is completely, this is what the Buddha says, achakku karana, andhakarana, panya nirodhika. That is, you are like a blind person, a person without eyes. Your wisdom has departed when overcome by strong defilement. In this case, strong sadness. So he goes away and he sees some gamblers on the road and he gets into some conversation with them and said, look, the blessed one, your blessed one, your teacher said that the dear, the pain, grief and lamentation comes from those who are dear. That is wrong, isn't it? And the gamblers also says, yes, that's wrong. The blessed one is wrong. So anyway, this conversation got somehow King Pasenadi Kosala got to hear about it. And his queen, the queen number 1, Mallika, was a great disciple of the Buddha. So then King Pasenadi also goes to Mallika and says, Mallika, you know, your blessed one had said this. How should we understand this? That the pain, despair, and all the grief comes from the people who are dear to us. And it looks like even King Pasenadi Kosala was a bit confused with this. And then the queen asks, so do you love your little princess? There was, what was her name? I can't remember. Their daughter, little daughter, the princess. She says, yes, of course, I love my little daughter. What would happen if some alteration happens to her? She gets sick or she dies. Oh, don't even talk about it. I don't want to even hear about this. Then she says, so this is how it is, right? So we understand this. So it's really interesting how, and it also goes to show, does it mean that we don't love people? After we get rid of our attachments, do we become cold-hearted people? Is that what it is? This is not what it is, yeah? When we let go, that is not what it is. You can even love somebody even more. You can actually truly love somebody, because it's with the attachment you love yourself more than you love the other person. That is more important, which is why the attachment is, because it's your self-interest. Because when you hang around with people you like and love, like your family, your spouse, your children, or whoever, your pet, that brings happiness to you. So you are attached to them because it brings happiness. It's your self-interest. And then that is why we also try to control so much the people we love, because we want them to be the way that brings me happiness. If they want to do certain things that affects my happiness, then we try to control. Is that really love? If you really love somebody, you need to let them do what they want to do to make themselves happy. Of course, if they're going to destroy themselves and bring a lot of harm, it's our job to sort of let them know, okay, if you do this, so much suffering and difficulty will come to you. That's one thing. But very often, what we try to do is we are being very selfish. So just this occurred to me. If you don't mind, Ajahn Brahmali, I'm going to share a story with your mother. Something, I had an opportunity to have a chat with Ajahn Brahmali's mother over Zoom. So I got the opportunity, so I asked, so how did you feel your eldest son becoming a monk? How was your reaction at the time? How did it make you feel? And it's a long story, but I'll tell in a short way. She said, he gave a call around Christmas time when the whole family was seated and everybody went dead silent. What? Because their family doesn't even really know what is Buddhism and all these things, and suddenly he wants to become a monk. And our very well-educated young eldest son doing so well in life, why he wants to do this kind of thing. But anyway, I won't tell all the reactions of the other family members, but his mother told me how she felt. She said, well, it was difficult. She said, I don't know what Buddhism is. I don't know what Buddhist monk is going to be, why he wants to do that. I don't understand any of these things. But if this is what's going to make my son happy, then I am happy for him. Isn't that amazing? I thought that was really amazing. Right, really amazing that it is letting go. He would go into another country, to faraway place, won't be around, won't be there for all the family gatherings, to do all this, go on holidays and do all the things you want to do with your people, right? So usually mothers and fathers, they want to spend time with their children and enjoy life. Now you become a Buddhist monk or nun, you can't quite do exactly the same things. You can still do a little bit, be with them, but not in the same way. You can't go and watch movies and go dancing and things like that, and go even to dinner. So that was an incredible, beautiful feeling of, letting go, but it is really loving somebody truly, isn't it? So this shows how we can actually love without attachment. The more the attachment, it's not as pure love. But if you truly love, then you want the people you love to truly be happy. So you let them go. So you let them go, and then you can actually care for them, love for them, do whatever makes them happy, support them, but without that attachment. But this is really hard, easily said than done, right? Because for us, we have this need, because we feel a deep hole within. Ajahn Brahmali was talking about this too, right? And this is precisely what we feel when somebody you love dies, or when one of your greatest possessions are lost. You feel that empty hole within. And this is why we try to go again and again into the sensual world. So if your partner leaves you, you try to find another partner, try to find another thing, something else. You take something else up in the sensual world to fill that gap. But it's never getting filled, because there's a lot of holes. Whatever you put in, it drains out. So you have to keep putting in, right? You know this. It's not satiable, this hole, because it has a lot of holes. So we need to first patch up those holes and fill it with the right kind of thing that will not just, drain out and stay full. So this is what we need to do. So if our heart is full from something else, something born from within, then we are not so dependent on other people and other things for our happiness. We become very independent. Wouldn't that be a nice state to be? This is where we want to be. Rather than finding happiness from other people and other things which constantly disappoints us, constantly shake us. We spoke about that, right? When we are attached to somebody, when they shake, we shake. When that attachment is gone, when we are independent, stand alone, strong, then nothing shakes us. That injita, like that craving, that shaking is so hard. That is what makes us really exhausted. The emotions of going from this end to other end, right? So all that gets very stabilized. You become very equanimous, very stable, really good, well grounded. And this is where we want to head to. So how do we do this? Yeah. So this is what the spiritual path is about: is growing something from within, like a lake welling up from the bottom. Like there are springs, a good spring from the bottom welling up the water in a good way. So the lake is always kept full. If you only depended on just a little bit of rain from outside, there is more sun to evaporate the lake, and the lake becomes empty much faster. But if you have a good spring within that wells up water, your lake remains full. In the same way, we need to develop these inner qualities, bring up joy and happiness and things from within to sustain ourselves in the right way, in the wholesome kind of way. So then we are not dependent on attachments, then we don't run out. Our running out into the sensual world also reduces. So I want to ask you the question, do you know the difference between joy born from getting versus joy born from giving? Do you know the difference? Yes? Joy born from giving is going to the sensual world and get everything you want. Like, so that's joy. That also, there is gratification in that, which is why we go out and get these things. But how is it when you give it? Give something you really like, appreciate to somebody else. So not only sharing, sometimes even giving up. Yesterday Ajahn Brahmali was talking about the sacrifice. Let me tell you a story about a great sacrifice. So this was when I was a young lady, I would say, not a girl anymore, 21. I was at university. So I did my bachelor's degree in India, in Delhi. This was my first time to be in a temperate kind of climate, because I'm born in Sri Lanka, lived all my life in the tropics, where the weather is always nice and warm, or I don't know, nice and warm. So this was my first winter coming up in Delhi. But that was also the time there was the university holidays. So I wanted to go home for holidays, but flying from Delhi to Colombo is expensive. So we would travel 36 hours on the train to Chennai to catch the flight. So I was getting on this train, overnight train. It was now winter time coming up. My first winter, people said, it's going to be cold, you better be ready. So, but as a young girl, you're more concerned about looking good, right? So me and my housemate, who was also another 21-year-old girl, we were only concerned wearing what we were wanting to dress nicely, got onto the train together. Between the two of us, there was one jacket. I did take a jacket with me, not wear it, had it in my bag. So as it was getting night time, she got cold and I gave her the jacket. When you're young, you don't feel cold so easily. So I was okay. And she went to sleep, I wasn't sleeping. So I was staying there. After a while, it was getting closer to midnight. Now I was shivering, really, really, really cold. I have never felt cold like that before. I don't know whether you have ever been in a situation where you were so frozen, so cold, without anything there to warm you up. It's really bad. And at that time, I think my mind was also freezing. I couldn't think. I couldn't even think of waking up my friend and getting my jacket back or doing something about it. I just sat there, freezing and freezing and freezing. In the corner of my eye, I saw somebody, and that somebody came down and came up to me. It was an Indian beggar, a typical Indian beggar with this big hair and big beard, wearing like really dirty looking clothes. He was wearing a sarong, which looked brown, would have been white long time ago. So he's a real street beggar. And then he had this shawl around him. He took this shawl and he put it over me. Really warm shawl. That was the best moment. It was so amazing when you're so frozen, to feel, to receive something warm, to warm your body up was amazing. I remember this very clearly, receiving. At another time, I wouldn't have gone 2 meters with him because he's a beggar, right? Young girls, you don't like to go close by to people who are not so clean. But this time I was so grateful to receive this blanket. But what I saw, when he put his shawl around me, he had nothing else except his sarong. So in his top, he didn't even have a t-shirt. The shawl was the only thing he had to keep himself warm. And the one thing he had, it was still freezing cold in the train, because Indian trains are not heated. We were not able to afford first class. We were just in an ordinary class. So it was so cold, it would have been minus. And he gave the one shawl he had to put it to me. And at that time, I didn't even realize what he did. Later only I realized he probably saved my life, because I could have even died, being so cold. I don't know what the temperatures were. Central India can drop quite badly at that time of the night. But he would have seen people die out of cold, because he lives on the streets. And in India, hundreds of thousands of people die during winter Same in the summer. So he knew this stupid girl coming to the train without a shawl or anything. So he put it on to me to save my life. But wasn't that a great sacrifice? Can you do it? I don't know whether I can do it. If I am so cold to give my only jacket to somebody else and there's nothing to protect me, I don't know whether I can do that. So it was a great sacrifice. And was that a rich person? Somebody who had a lot to give? No, somebody who had a big heart, isn't it? Somebody who had a great, amazing heart. So is that a really poor person then? Not really, yeah? Really rich person, even though really poor in this life for whatever reason, but very rich. But I don't think he'll be poor anymore because the way the karma works, even though he may not know, he had no ulterior motivation. I don't know whether I even said thank you. Even if I did, he wouldn't understand the language, right? And he would never see me. I was just a stranger. It's not that I'm going to do something for saving my life. He didn't even get a single penny from me. But, I am still alive. Now I'm a bhikkhuni. I'm trying to live a good life. I'm going to share Dhamma. I'm going to help other people. Every little act, because he saved my life, also accumulates karma to him, isn't it? Even though whether he might not even know this. It's kind of incredible, things that you do, you don't know how far these things go. If he dies one day, he would see. That's when he's going to realize the significance, because this is what near-death experiences show. They see the far-reaching consequences of your actions. The day he dies, if he's dead, I don't know by now, they would see what is happening. All those things are available to you. It's interesting somehow. So see, how we can build up this inner form of joy inside. So starting from generosity. That is why generosity, sila, samadhi, panya. We hear all the time, right? Sila is generosity, samadhi is meditation, panya is wisdom. So dana, sila, bhavana. So dana, sorry, I said it's wrong. Sila is virtue, wrong sequence. Dana, sila, bhavana is what I meant to say. Dana is generosity, sila is virtue, bhavana is meditation. So it also shows the Noble Eightfold Path, or path of practice in that way as well. So generosity has a big place in the path. And it brings a lot of joy. It's not so hard to do. If I were to say, okay, sit cross-legged and watch breath and get into the jhana and get into the joy states, maybe that may seem maybe not straight away possible for some of you. Maybe some of you can do it, I don't know. But generosity you can always do. And you could see you don't need to be so rich to be generous. You can do it, you need to have a kind heart, to have awareness. What can you do to help somebody? And this makes you really full. So giving, because we want our attachments, because we want to receive gifts, we want to receive things. So instead of waiting to receive things to fill our heart, start giving. When you start giving to anybody, to any stranger, not to your people, then you start filling up, well up with joy from within. So your dependency on others subsides. So the other thing I want to say is being good feels good, right? Being good feels good, do you agree? Being bad feels bad. Then why are you bad sometimes? Say the kind of wrong thing, snap back at somebody. We forget, isn't it? Mindless we become. But if you remember being good feels good, that is virtue in a nutshell, right? Being good is just virtue in a nutshell. I won't go into detail because you know about it. So remember, when you do whatever you do by body, speech, and even the way you think, if you think in ways that are wholesome, that's why I mentioned last night, be stingy with your complaints and very generous with your compliments. That's a way to show how to well up with joy inside. So these are little ways of starting, but they are not little. When you do it consistently on a daily basis, you well up with goodness within quite incredibly. And it is this the basis for your meditation as well. As you can use you're recollecting your own goodness, like Chaganusati. Yeah? That is a recommended reflection by the Buddha. Rejoicing and recollecting your own goodness, generosity, and use that to gladden your mind, polish up your mind, brighten your mind, and then when you sit, the meditation just takes off. This is how this works. Sila, your virtues, you can use Silanusati, your own good conduct. You can use that as a basis when you live like that to develop your meditation. So, and of course with meditation, that joy becomes even greater. So when you build this up, you will see you can let go in the right way. You can let go of your attachments and you become more free. And this is a great feeling. This is so liberating because you know how problematic attachments are, how difficult, and how much of our life is wasted because of that, right? So when we start doing this, you are self-sufficient. So this is really, really important. I'm going out of time, but I don't really care, it's okay. So I actually want to bring up something else as well while we talk about how to let go of the attachments in the right way, because this is important, right? This is really important. This is a very fundamental problem to us. So there's a series of suttas. Yesterday, Ajahn Brahmali mentioned in that Pingiyani Sutta, a thankful person and a grateful person. Do you remember? A rare people in the world, a rising of the Buddha, somebody who's teaching the Dhamma, somebody who listens to it, somebody who practices it, and somebody who has gratefulness and thankfulness. Was there like a random thing? It wasn't random. But in another place, if you want, you can read this up in Anguttara Nikaya 5, 264 to 271. There is a whole series of suttas. I'm going to read that. First one, and then you will see. Because without having abandoned these 5 things, one is incapable of entering and dwelling in the first jhana. Are you interested? Yes. So it says, without these 5 things, one is incapable of dwelling in the jhana. What 5? Miserliness, this is macchariya. Miserliness with regard to dwellings. Miserliness with regard to families. Miserliness with regard to gain. Miserliness with regard to praise, and ingratitude and unthankful. Without having abandoned these 5 things, one is incapable of entering and dwelling in the first jhana. Quite serious, right? It sounds very simple things stopping us from entering deep meditation. And the remaining suttas shows second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, stream entry, once returner, non-returner, arahants. So, these things are like big stumbling blocks blocking you from going any further. So not to take them so lightly, thinking, oh, I can have my attachments, I have, what do you say, you have the cake and eat it too, or something like that. It's not quite like that, right? It's not like we have my relationships, have my, all of these things, and I will also get enlightenment. It's not something that would happen. But also ingratitude and unthankfulness. Interesting, isn't it? Because the other 4 are related to these attachments. Macchariya is a bigger form of this really greedy, holding on to tenaciously to these things, right? And gathering, hoarding. I don't know exactly what is the right word for Macchariya.
Miserliness, stinginess.
Stinginess, yeah. Because English is second language for me. It doesn't have a feeling when you say miserliness, it's just a word. I don't have a big feeling for it in English. But anyway, if you understand it, so you know it's the attachments, yeah? So attachments to your house, attachment to your family, attachment to all the gains, and attachment to praise. Remember we were talking about, I was mentioning, more than the sensual pleasures, our ego loves other things, yeah? So the praise. Ego, that's why people who are very, very rich, who have all the things in the sensual world to the top quality they want, what do they want after that? To become famous, yeah? To receive praise. After that, what do you want? Power, to control. So this is how the ladder goes after that. So that part is even more dangerous, yeah? It's more dangerous. But ingratitude and unthankfulness, it's right there. So imagine when you have that unthankfulness and ingratitude, this is also somebody who is a psychopath, isn't it? A psychopath will be ingratitude and unthankful person. And another place the Buddha says the plane of the bad, the plane of the entirely bad person is somebody who is unthankful and ungrateful. So the Buddha describes only like that. The grateful person and thankful person is called the plane of the good, a good person. This is the definition of a good person, and the other one is the definition of a bad person. But the opposite of this, the gratitude has many benefits, which is why I want to bring it up, because just to show unthankfulness and ingratitude is a stumbling block stopping you, because that kind of mind, that fault-finding mind, that is the mind that is depressed. So how can you do any meditation? Because in order to do meditation, you need an uplifted mind. It is called pamoja. A mind that is glad, that is the starting point. After not having regret and remorse, then your mind is glad, pamoja. But how can you have pamoja, a glad mind, if your mind is constantly finding fault, ungrateful and unthankful about things? See the mindset? So that is why that also can stop you. But the opposite, when you have this gratitude in your mind, a mind with gratitude easily is a mind in contentment as well. Yeah, I actually know of somebody, maybe some of you got the books of Ayya Nirodha. I only could bring 30 copies, I'll bring more later if you want more books. She's this amazing nun, she's now going to turn 81. At her 80th birthday, we did a little book about her amazing life and contribution. But she is someone I've known for many, many years. She's somebody who has so much gratitude. Even though she's now 81, she's somebody so easy to look after, easy to support. Whatever you give, any kind of even instant coffee, she's so grateful. She's truly, it's not an act, because it's consistent. Very easy to look after, easy to support. So, you can see, I wish I could be like that when I'm 81, so easy for somebody to support and to look after, and somebody who is full of gratitude. You can also see sometimes as people age, they become very difficult. They're constantly complaining, fault-finding, and angry and upset. That would be not a nice way to spend the last phase of your life, isn't it? So, practicing, building up, because gratitude needs to be cultivated. We need to actively make it happen and create that, and that leads to so much good. So also I have heard from Ajahn Brahmali, and I've looked up a little bit, did a little bit of research, and probably this is true, and that is if you do a brain scan, when somebody has taken antidepressants, the part of the brain that lights up, and when you have gratitude in your mind, the part of the brain that lights up is the same. So it kind of shows that gratitude, gratefulness practice is an antidote for overcoming depression, right? So you can also see why there's a lot of depression in the world. Ungrateful, unthankful, fault-finding, complaining mind is what takes you down and away from meditation. So if you want good meditation, we have to turn it around. We have to do it, cultivate it actively. It has many benefits. But not only that, when you have gratefulness in your mind, the good hormones come out into the body, like serotonin and dopamine. And they are very helpful. They motivate you to do your thing. They give you an uplift. But you can also see when the mind has gratitude, when the mind is content, will it be running around to sensuality? You're content, right? You're grateful and content. So you can take the first hindrance. Sensuality will be in check. And when your mind is grateful, will you be angry and irritated? Yesterday there was questions about irritation, anger. Second hindrance will be checked in, right? If you have gratitude. And a mind having gratitude with all the serotonin and dopamine coming into your mind, full of energy. Could you say you will be full of sloth and torpor? No. And the restlessness and worry running into future and past is usually when the present moment is unpleasant. So the restless mind happens also when the mind is unhappy, unsettled. When the mind is full of gratitude, when the mind is content, restlessness will also be less, right? And a mind with gratitude also has gratitude for the teachings, to the Buddha, right? For giving us these beautiful teachings. So will there any space for doubt? So it just occurred to me, having gratitude is a really good way to overcome all of the 5 hindrances as well. So if you want shortcuts, here's a shortcut, build up gratitude. Ajahn Brahmali also gave a beautiful Dhamma talk some time ago called Blast with Metta. So metta has pretty much the same effect. So this is another thing you can build up. Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekkha, so the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 4 divine abidings also fills your heart up. There are many good things, so all of these things, when your heart is filled with these things, letting go of attachments becomes possible, becomes easy, and it will happen. It actually will happen naturally. You will not have to do the letting go, because this is what seems really hard. People find it really hard to let go the things that you really love and like. But when the letting go happens naturally, it's easy, effortless. This is what actually happens. When the heart wells up with this wholesome, these amazing joys from within, all these other things just naturally fall out. Like in Australia, the Australian gum trees, when the sun keeps shining and drying, the bark just falls out one day, effortlessly. But at another time, if you want to take the bark out, it's really hard. You have to have many tools and put in a lot of effort to pull out that bark. But if you allow it the right conditions, it falls out. Same way, letting go becomes very easy. Getting rid of attachments becomes very easy, but only if you build up and put in the right courses. So I took a lot of time for this, but this is important, and this is a lot of practical things as well. So I hope that is okay, even if I don't finish the rest of the sutta. I feel something that is helpful. So then, whatever I asked you, you have explained me. I ask you once more, please tell me this. How do the alert cross the flood of rebirth, old age, sorrow and lamenting? Please, sage, answer me clearly, for truly you understand this matter. I shall give you a teaching, replied the Buddha, that is apparent in present, not relying on tradition. Having understood it, one who is mindful, who lives mindfully, may cross over, clinging in the world. So here I want to just say something. So not relying on tradition, apparent in this present. So sanditthiko, akaliko are 2 qualities of the Dhamma. So apparent here and now. You don't have to wait till you die and reborn somewhere. When you apply right view, when you apply yourself onto the path, you start getting fruits straight away. You letting go a little bit, you get a little bit of peace. You let go a lot, you get a lot of peace. Yeah, you turn around the way you think about something. You straight away you can turn anger and ill will into compassion very quickly if you apply yourself. You go from ayoniso manasikara to yoniso manasikara. So unwise attention to wise attention. Just that shift straight away brings results. But if you shout at somebody, straight away you feel not happy. If you're kind to somebody, if you say something nice, you feel good inside straight away. This is the beauty of giving compliments. Who benefits first? You. Not just the person receiving the compliment. the giver benefits more, because you have to have a beautiful heart to be able to give a compliment. So this is why, so Sanditiko is these teachings, when you apply, they're apparent here and now, they're verifiable. By doing it, you take it on board on confidence in the Buddha, you apply it, you put it to practice, and you can get results here and now in this very life. Not so, therefore, not relying on so and whatever tradition, but it is here and now, right? So that is very powerful to know. This is something very special about this valuable Buddha's teachings. So I delight, great seer, in that supreme teaching, having understood which one who lives mindfully may cross over, clinging in the world. Once you've expelled relishing and dogmatism, replied the Buddha, regarding everything you are aware, above, below, across and in between, the consciousness is not established anywhere in existence. So I'm glad we covered this point earlier, right? Remember Ajahn Brahmali Sutta also had above, below, across and in between, how to comprehend, and we spoke about this yesterday also, Anguttara Nikaya 441. Yeah, so you have to go back to your notes. So I won't spend more time here, but what I will talk about is this relishing and dogmatism. Do you understand this? Relishing and dogmatism? Anyway, relishing is just, indulging and enjoying overly much with anything, all sorts of cravings, all sorts of views, fantasizing, and even all those mental constructs about all kinds of things, even in science or whatever, you could relish in all kinds of amazing states of mind, except for the jhanas and spiritual path, not those, the other side, and related to the world and worldly affairs. But dogmatism, right? These are also those strong kinds of views. So I have some notes here. Let me just look at my notes. I did a little bit of research just for fun. Here, so what is dogmatism? It is the tendency to accept beliefs as absolutely true without questioning them, or considering evidence and alternative viewpoints, being very certain that your beliefs are correct and refusing to change them or debate them. Actually, this kind of dogmatism, the Dandapani, the Sakyan in Majjhima 18 had. It was quite nice. If I could have done the whole sutta. Let's see. What are some of the harmful dogmas that existed in ancient India at the time of the Buddha and may still be present? The sacred authority of the Vedas was absolute, and that performing ritual and sacrifice would lead to spiritual purification. So this was the Punnaka's question, right? So he was very surprised if somebody was so diligent in doing their sacrifice and they couldn't cross over, then who could? Because his view about this was so strong. So this is a very strong view that the Buddha had to sort of help people to break. Otherwise, that view itself will stop you from crossing over the flood. This is how we spoke about earlier in the Majjhima Sutta, how you get stuck in the middle when you have strong views. The next one is that the belief about the soul. Many philosophical schools believe in an unchanging, eternal soul called Atma, right? If you believe that your consciousness or whatever you take yourself to be is a constant, unchanging, solid thing, then that is also a very difficult dogma, a view. This is without any evidence, right? You take it on board and take it seriously and hold on to it. But these things will actually stop you from being liberated. And there were other things as well, like the belief that social class was determined by birth and fixed forever. This is a really, really horrible thing. I don't know how many of you are aware of the caste system and about the untouchables in India. Even to this date, they are being treated really badly, these untouchable people. They are outside of the caste system. They are treated worse than the cows and the dogs in the streets. These are human beings still being treated like that just because of strongly holding on to this understanding that they should be treated like that because they have a really low birth, because for whatever reason the way the dogma is set out. So you can see, because they think they have a right to treat these people in such a bad way. They're called Dalits. Don't look it up now, but when you go home and if you look up, you will see the madness of the world, what people holding on to these views, and they do so much bad, create so much bad karma. But yesterday also Ajahn Brahmali was explaining how the sacrifices done in the wrong way, thinking you're doing something good, you accumulate so much bad. So like that you can see how these various dogmas, these are common, they're more common than what we think. There are millions of people who believe these things even to this day and act upon these things. And you can see how they are blocked from liberation, not only liberation, blocked from reaching states of happiness and peace, right? So these dogmas are really, really dangerous, and we also could have some dogmas, yeah. Yeah, I won't go into too much because you can understand these things or find out. But the homework is to try and see what are some of these things that you have. Check and see some of the things that you believe to be so true. Are they evidence-based? Can you verify them? Are they going to stay in the way of my progress? So these will be the wrong views, the dangerous wrong views that we need to do something about. So building up right view, so right view is also a dogma, but not a dogma because it is verifiable. Dogmas are not verifiable. But this right view is the kind of thing that you need to have as a support to help you get over and overcome the path. So, so dogmatism. So living mindful and heedful, a bhikkhu wonders, having nothing of his own, that wise one would give up the suffering of rebirth, old age, sorrow, lamenting, fear. There's a lot to be said in those lines, but I'm guessing in another sutta I will get the opportunity because these are repeated again. I delight in the words of the great seer. You have expounded non-attachment well, Gautama. Clearly the Buddha has given up suffering, for truly you understand this matter. Surely those you would regularly instruct would also give up suffering. Having met, I bow especially to you, O spiritual giant. Hopefully the Buddha will regularly instruct me. Any Brahmin recognized as a knowledge master who has nothing unattached to sensual life clearly has crossed this flood, crossed to the far shore, gentle, rid of doubt. And a wise person here, a knowledge master, having cut the bond to any kind of existence, free of craving, untroubled, wishless, has crossed over rebirth and old age, I declare. So a lot can be said here, but Ajahn Brahmali did a great job yesterday talking about the qualities of the Buddha, the praise the people had for the Buddha, pretty much going over some of these beautiful things. But they are not things that are hard to understand, but what is important is maybe just take up some of these verses and do your own reflection, because when you do it yourself, it's more powerful than just hearing, because sometimes you just hear it goes from here and goes the other way around. But when you try to say, what does it mean? Somebody who has nothing. When you say who has nothing, think about it. This is akinchana, beautiful word, yeah? Akinchana. And then unattached, yeah? Imagine, unattached to sensual life, what this is like. Yeah, so when you do your own reflection, it is really, really powerful. And then untroubled, wishless. Imagine, don't we have wishes still? Yeah. So somebody who's wishless, untroubled. See, anigo, niraso. These are really beautiful terms. Even in Pali, it's very soothing to hear. Yeah. They have crossed over this problem. Rebirth, like Ajahn was saying, re-old age, re-death. So this is what they have overcome. So the last bit I want to take. So is that okay if I leave the rest of the contemplation of the sutta for you to do, which will bring you more good than me telling? And also reflecting what Ajahn Brahmali said yesterday so powerfully. So I just want to say one other little thing that you may not otherwise get to hear very much. These are not things that you get to hear very much because they are not directly from it is in the Sutta Pitaka, it is from the Petavattu. So Petavattu is another book that is in the Kuddaka Nikaya. So what we are doing is in the Sutta Nipata. This is also a book in the Kuddaka Nikaya, but this one, this chapter and the other chapter, they are quite old. They are considered as the word of the Buddha. But things in the Petavattu and Vimanavattu, they are about the ghosts and things like that, the hungry ghost realm, are a bit doubtful. They could be or could not be because they are a little bit late. But then it's not the teaching that I'm going to say. There's a beautiful set of similes which I find very nice, whether it is the word of the Buddha or not. These similes, these ways of thinking about may be good because this is about how to deal with when somebody you love dies. This is going to happen, isn't it? Is that going to happen to us? People, is that going to be difficult? Are you ready for it? If you are not ready, some people say, are you ready to die? You are ready for your loved one to die, your daughter to die? Okay, that's good. But not everybody is, isn't it? That's wonderful. But yeah, because some people are, because when you have been practicing long enough, you have very, very good ways and understanding this, and that's how it should be. So for this is for somebody who is not yet ready. It's a nice story, or anyway, a nice story that you can share with somebody who is struggling. It may or may not work, but this one is from the Petavattu, Snake chapter 1.12. It's called the snake. So briefly in this story, there was a family which had a father, mother, son, and a daughter, and son had a wife, and there was a servant. So that's the whole family. So the father and the son goes out every morning to the field to do farming. They were farmers. So one day when they went, the son on their way or in the field, a snake bit the son and the son died. So this was a family who have been practicing really well to a good degree. But now we will see whether they were practicing well or not. So then the father sent a message to the family, today just send only one packet of lunch, because they send the lunch later so they can have a hot meal. So they send a message with somebody, only one. So then everybody at home, the wife, the sister and the servant, they all knew, okay, one of them has died. They didn't even know which one because they only asked for one packet. So then they all came with their lunch, knowing that they might have to do the funeral ceremony. So they all came. So father first had the lunch. So that's the dead body of the son, but he had his lunch. After having had his lunch, so the family has also had their lunch. Then they just, put a funeral pyre, burned the body, and then they went on their business. They tried to. At that point, it says there was a deva. It's uncertain whether it was the son who died who became a deva and came and wanted to find out, or whether it was the sakka. Somehow one kind of deva wanted to find out how come nobody is sad. Usually when somebody dies, so this is the son, right? At least mother should be sad, or the father should be sad, or the wife, or the sister, or the servant. One of these people should be sad for this person. None of them look sad. They are pretty okay. How could this be? So that deva takes up the form of a old man and comes and questions. and see. So ask father, was it a bad son that you are not was sad? Like he died, you are really happy that he's gone now? Is that why you are not sad? And the father says, just as the serpent sheds its old skin and abandons it, humans also abandon their useless body and die. That burning dead body is unaware of the lamentation of its relatives. Therefore, I do not cry over my dead son. He went to another life according to his karma. So this is having right view, right? They also knew that the son and they're all practicing well, so he would go to a good destination. So once this body is dead, it's just like the serpent getting rid of its old dead skin. Then the old man goes to the mother and says, so how come you are not crying as the mother? And the mother says, he came to this world without invitation and departed without permission. So the mothers, did you invite your children to your womb? Did you know who you invited? You have no idea who came, right? And when they go, do they ask your permission before? They never do. People just die. So he was born in this world and went from this world according to his own karma. This is what we forget. This is where we think, my child belongs to me. I have to do and create everything about this, but they come according to their karma and they go. You have only provided a conducive space in your body, very kind of us to do that, but that's all. What is the use of crying? That burning dead body is unaware of the lamentation of its relatives. Therefore, I do not cry over my dead son. He went to another life according to his karma. And then the sister, so they ask whether the brother gave her a hard time, is that why she's not? Her answer is a bit strange. If I would cry, I would become very exhausted. Like my faculties would, and I would look and not beautiful. What would I gain from crying? My crying would only bring more sadness to our relatives, friends and family. That burning dead body is unaware of the lamentation of its relatives. Therefore, I do not cry over my dead brother. He went to another life according to his karma. And then goes to the wife. Was it a really bad husband that you are not crying? He says, no. Just as a child cries asking for the moon, it is the same as someone crying over another's death. That burning, so because you can cry and the children can ask, please get me the moon. Can you get the moon? Can you get them the moon? You can't get them the moon, right? That burning dead body is unaware of the lamentation of its relatives. Therefore, I do not cry over my dead husband. In another version of this, I have heard that when the sun sets, if you ask the sun to come back immediately, it can't come back, right? Once the sun sets, it's set. So something like that. It's that's the wife's response. And the servant's one is quite nice. Just as a shattered pot cannot be fixed, it is the same as someone crying over another's death. Because once a clay pot is cracked, can you put it back together just the same way it was? We cannot. So it's just the same way. That burning dead body is unaware of the lamentation of its relatives. Therefore, I do not cry over my dead master. He went into another life according to his karma. I just find it kind of really interesting reflections, but probably you all are quite advanced already, but anyway, I just wanted to say.
Where is that?
It's in Petavattva, I told you.
Yeah, I heard it. Whereabouts? The Petavattva is
112.
112.
Snake. But it's in the Sutta Central, but it's Bhante Kiribat Guranyanananda's translation. I think Ajahn Sujata hasn't done yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
112.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, it's just a story. Even doesn't have to be sutta, but just a nice kind of interesting kind of ways to think about death and how you can bring it back. All right, we've gone past time, so wish you all a nice day of building up, welling up from within, from joy, little acts of kindness, bringing up gratitude, bringing up a sense, remembering your own goodness. Yeah, you all have done so much good in your life. Don't think about the 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 things that you didn't do well. Think about the many good things, and may that mind help you to develop and get into deep meditation during this retreat. Okay? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.